Hey, what's up? My name's Andrew Kirby, and in this video you're going to learn exactly how you can conquer fear. And what's better, everything I'm going to tell you is backed by scientific research. When it comes down to it, fear's actually pretty scary. You see, some 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, came up with the quote that men are more often disturbed not by things but by the views of which they take of them. And this has recently been proven by science. Science has stated that people are more scared when they think about losing their job than when they actually lose their job. In a number of surveys, people have even stated that fear of public speaking comes above the fear of death. So this means that at a funeral, more people would be scared to stand up at the front and give the speech than they would to be in the casket at the front of the speech. In a recent study, people have even said that they'd be more willing to pay to avoid fear than they would be to pay to be happy. In a study called The Upside of Your Dark Side, people said that they were willing to pay $79.06 to be happy, and they were willing to pay $83.27 to avoid fear. People are more willing to avoid fear than to be happy, and it's just incredible. And it's such a weird concept because people are always scared, and they ask me and they ask people around them, how can I stop being scared? But the great thing is it's quite simple, and it was proven thousands of years ago. So the number one way that you can avoid fear is be in control of things. When we feel in control, we're inside of our comfort zone. So what does that mean? We feel comfortable. And when we're outside of our control, we're outside of our comfort zone, and we feel scared and we feel worried. And it's been proven that when you feel worried, you literally can't think straight. Your brain is literally impacted. Your brain is impaired, almost like a disability when you feel scared. And this has been proven. Amy Armstrong studies the effects of limbic system arousal on prefrontal cortex functioning. She summarized the importance of a sense of control for the brain during an interview filmed at her lab at Yale. The loss of the prefrontal function only occurs when we feel out of control. It's the prefrontal cortex itself that is determining if we are in control or not. Even if we have the illusion that we are in control, our cognitive functions are preserved. This perception of being in control is a major driver of behavior. And this is exactly why fear often seems so irrational. It's been proven that you shouldn't be afraid of terrorism because in America, you're more likely to die by lifting your furniture than you are to die from a terrorist. And this is the reason why you're so afraid of all of the wrong things. A couple of years ago, everyone was freaking out about Ebola, but they still refused to put their seatbelt on. And let's just think about driving for a second. You're going down the motorway, 65 miles an hour in a 2,000-pound missile. Even if you feel completely in control, the idiot next to you could fall asleep for a second, crash into you, you're both dead. But because you're used to it, because you feel in control, you're not scared at all. Even though it's one of the most dangerous things you could do. Even though if you are a perfect driver, there's still a decent chance that you could die because you don't know who else is around you or what's happening in their cars. So how do you get rid of this? Well, the answer is you must get closer to your fears. So by being very afraid, you'll stop being afraid. And face your fears. I know it's a cliche, but it's the truth, and it has some incredible value with it. There's a Stoic exercise that the Roman emperor, who was the most powerful man alive in his time, used, and it's called negative visualization. So I want you to imagine your worst fear. So for this example, I'm going to use public speaking. So now imagine you're going up and you're giving a public speech in front of a huge audience, and just realize how you would feel if you were in the shoes of the person giving the speech. Just imagine you're giving the speech in front of so many people. And now make your fear even worse. You realize that as you scan the crowd, every single person is bored and unimpressed. You even see someone sleeping in the back. Now let's keep going. Make the fear even worse. And I know you're feeling uncomfortable. I know this is the worst thing you could imagine, but just bear with me. Trust me, it will work. So make you feel even worse. So now you wet yourself in front of the whole crowd because you're so scared. Imagine how bad that would be. Now everyone's laughing at you. And again, we'll make it worse just for the point's sake. And of course, if your fear's not public speaking, this won't sound bad for you. But do the same exercise, and I'm serious, you actually do the exercise, don't just watch this video, but actually do the exercise. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. Make that fear even worse. You've now wet yourself and everyone's laughing at you. You now realise that everyone's got their phone out and they're recording you, and you realise that this is going to be on YouTube and there's going to be millions of views of you embarrassing yourself in front of everyone. But this is a weird exercise, and if you're particularly anxious, then maybe you shouldn't do this, because this could trigger some bad anxiety. But this is what is recommended by Ronald Siegel, who was the Harvard medical professor, and this is what he had to say about that topic. Now that you've developed a clear experience of anxiety, try intensifying it. Make it as strong as you can while sitting there holding this book. Don't worry, this is safe. I promise it won't last forever. Once you feel as though you've generated about as much anxiety as you can muster, see if you can hold on to it. Set a timer or look at your watch and try to keep the anxiety going for the same level for at least 10 minutes. If it starts to fade, try to intensify it again. Now that you've practiced bearing your anxiety, you can bring your attention back to your breath for a few more minutes and feel what this is like. Doing this regularly can put a huge dent in your fears. Trust me, I've done it myself. Doing this exercise regularly will put a huge dent in your fears. This is a big part of the video, so pay attention. But it wasn't even scientists that figured this out, and it wasn't even the Stoics 2,000 years ago that figured this out. Even further back, the samurai would think about death often. And why did they do this? So that during battle they wouldn't be scared. One who is supposed to be a warrior considers it his foremost concern to keep death in mind at all times, every day and every night, from the morning of New Year's Day through the night of New Year's Eve. So is that it? Is that the end of the video? Do this exercise and all your fears will be removed? There's one last step, and I know some of you won't like this, but this step is you need to prepare. Fear literally prevents clear thinking, and it causes you to procrastinate. So what's the first step in the opposite of procrastination? And that's preparing yourself. You've now envisioned what this fear would be like through the negative visualization technique that I just talked about, but now you've got to prepare so that you never face this technique. David McRaney in his book said this: according to Johnson and Leach, the sort of people who survive are the sort of people who prepare for the worst and practice ahead of time. They've done the research or built the shelter or done the drills. They look for the exits and imagine what they will do. These people don't deliberate during calamity because they've already done the deliberation the other people around them are just now going through. Why are Navy SEALs so fearless? Well, the answer is because they train and they train and they train. And the exact same thing can be seen through NASA. How do they make sure that the astronauts don't panic when they go through flight? Well, they train. Here's what NASA has to say on this topic. Before the first launch, NASA recreated the fateful day for the astronauts over and over, step by step, hundreds of times. From what they'd have for breakfast to the ride to the airfield. Slowly, in a graded series of exposures, the astronauts were introduced to every sight and sound of the experience of their firing into space. They did it so many times that it became as natural and familiar as breathing. This is one of the many principles that I talk about in Calm Blueprint, which is the course that people are using to remove their anxiety. And what's better, you can use this course today. You can download it and it'll be in your inbox in about 60 seconds if you are serious about removing your anxiety for real. And you're not just here to watch these videos and mentally masturbate, but if you actually want to remove your fear, then click the link in the description or in the comments, or go to andrewkirby.net/calm blueprint